Hi, Apple and I welcome you to what I hope is going to be just the first in a series of Ask the Breeder videos. I've gotten plenty of questions that I've read on the comments section of my YouTube channel, and I'm happy to answer them, and I'm going to try to answer them for everyone right now. If you have a question, you are more than welcome to leave it on the comments section, and I will address it in a future video. Meanwhile, I have a few questions here that have been asked within the last week or two. My first question comes from a user called User, and they wanted to know about what to do with a picky eater. Cavaliers are normally very good eaters. They eat voraciously and they look forward to every meal. Once in a while you will get a picky eater. One thing you should know is that I always make it a habit of feeding my dogs in crates. Of course, with multiple dogs, I need to feed them in crates so they don't steal each other's food. But even if I had just one dog, I would feed that dog in a crate. It focuses their attention on the meal and the chore at hand, which is to eat. If the dog does not finish the food in about 20 minutes in the crate, simply lift up that bowl. Don't give any more food to the dog until the next regular meal time. I have never met a dog, especially a Cavalier, that would starve himself to death. After a day or two of not getting the full meal, they'll wise up to what has to be done and eat within that 20-minute period. Keep in mind that when a dog gets to somewhere between 7 months and a year of age, their nutritional and dietary needs decrease tremendously. You can take them off of puppy food and put them onto adult food, reduce them from 2 meals a day to 1 meal a day, and reduce the overall quantity of food that they get. My second question comes from Peter, who saw the video where we took Bella to a dog show on the plane and wanted to know if there was any issue with getting the carrier under the seat in front of me on the flight. This is the carrier that I use. It is approximately the maximum dimensions that most airlines will accept. It's 18 inches long, 11 inches wide, and 11 inches tall. Now that 11 inches tall applies to soft-sided carriers, which this is, and this will give a little bit when you push it under the seat. If you have a hard carrier, you're probably going to have to stick to about 9 inches tall. But with this one, normally Apple didn't like to be upstaged by the carrier. I normally push it under the seat this way, the narrow end going in first. And this will give over here so that it will slide underneath very nicely, and only a little bit of it will be sticking out from the seat. Just so happens that on this particular flight, one of the planes that I was on was a bit smaller under the seat in front of me, and I could not get it in this way. It really wouldn't go under the seat at all. So instead, I slid it in this way, and it only went in a tiny bit, leaving that much sticking out, which is not as bad as that much sticking out. I always book a window seat when I fly with a dog in cabin. That way the flight attendants are not bothered by the carrier sticking out a little bit, and also other passengers don't have to worry about tripping over my carrier. Question 3 comes from Ellie. Wants to know if it's unusual for dogs to eat their own poop. Well, I'd say it's unusual, but not at all unheard of. I've seen it happen many times. Usually we see it happening with our girls who have puppies. When a mother has a litter that's very young, one of their jobs, while the litter is just a few days old, and actually for the first week or two, is to lick the puppy's rear ends to stimulate the peeing and pooping. And while they're doing that, they eat the poops. Apple, would you like to come back on my lap? Come on, come up here. Or don't. Of course, as the puppies get older, the mothers don't eat the poop anymore. However, I think they acquire a taste for it. And so a lot of the mothers that we've had that had puppies have decided as adults to continue to eat those poops. I've not seen it myself with dogs that have not had puppies, but I have heard that it happens. There are products that you can buy that claim to make it taste bad. I think it tastes bad already, yeah, so I don't know. But you could try that if you have a dog that eats poops. I think the best remedy, if you do have one, is to just make sure the poops are cleaned up as quickly as possible. My next question comes from Fiona, and she wants to know, after seeing the video that explained how Jambo was used as a stud dog to inseminate the mother of the litter artificially, do we breed our dogs naturally? I have bred dogs naturally over the years. It's not done as commonly as it used to be because the technology has improved, and transcervical insemination, which is what we used for that one, gets the sperm up through the cervix so that you have a greater chance of fertilization and having puppies. It's also safer. The things I don't like about natural breedings: number one, it can be painful. I've heard girls screech when they were involved in the middle of a breeding. Secondly, it can also transmit disease, so you have to be very careful. You have to do a lot of testing before the breeding to make sure they don't have anything that's communicable. And third, when you do a natural breeding, there is what's called a tie, where the two remain joined together for anywhere from 15 to about 45 minutes, which is essential to the breeding because those fluids that are ejected at that point push the sperm farther up. Apple, what's the problem? I don't know. When they're in that tie, I will generally sit down on the floor with the dog and make sure she's comfortable. And it can be very uncomfortable for me as well as for the girl. So you'll find more and more breedings now being done artificially. The next question is from Maureen. Speaking of Jamba being a father, are we going to get a puppy from this upcoming litter? The answer is no. This litter was done at the request of the owner of the mother, and she did that because she wants to continue the line of that girl. So we provided Jamba's stud service for a fee. You will sometimes hear of what's called a stud fee puppy, where the owner of the stud dog, instead of taking a fee, will take one of the puppies from the litter, usually the second pick, and that was not the case this time. And our last question comes from Karen, who saw the video of the puppy we bred years ago named Zen, who came to visit us, and she wanted to know if those owners changed his name. Well, you have to realize that dogs always have two names. They have an official registered name and they have an informal call name. Apple, for example. Apple, come here, please. Come on. Come on. Come here. Good girl. Apple has an official registered name, which is Blackfire, New York State of Mind. All of our dogs that we breed carry the Blackfire as the first word in their name because that is our kennel's affix, which is registered and indicates that we are the breeders. And that name, Blackfire, New York State of Mind, will stay with her for life. The registered name is registered with our breed club and also with the American Kennel Club, and they will not allow a name change. So that is an identifier for the dog for life, along with their registration number. But of course, You know, like when I was a kid, if I got called by my first, middle, and last name by my mother, I knew I was in trouble. So I suppose if I got mad at her, I might say, Blackfire, New York state of mind? You did something wrong, but I don't really do that. So we need a call name, and in her case it was Apple. We like that because New York is usually referred to as the Big Apple. And if we had sold her, however, the new owner might not like that name and might say, well, I don't like Apple, I want to call her Susie instead. And they can call her Susie, and that is their absolute right and privilege. In the case of Zen, his official registered name is Blackfire Moment of Zen. And we just decided that Zen itself was a very nice call name, and that's what we called him. When we transferred him to new ownership, the new owners decided they liked the name Zen, and they kept it. So he has been Zen for his entire life. Well, I hope that was interesting and informative for you. If you have any questions, make sure just to leave a comment on my YouTube channel, and we'll try to do another chapter of Ask the Breeder soon. Apple, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.